What's up, you little oddballs? Welcome back to The Oddity Shop, the podcast where we
tell you creepy, odd, weird, strange, and bizarre stories from around the world. Hello, Curator Kara.
Hello. I was going to say I'm your Curator Kara. This is your other curator, Zachary.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I am fully caffeinated. I am unfully full. I'm a little bit hungry, so my stomach might make noises.
Yeah, it's 10:30. I'm on my third coffee.
Oh my God, I would die.
I started at like 6:30. Not that
Okay,
makes it
that's
any
fair.
better, but
So what's new with you?
I don't think much. It's a very gloomy morning here. Is it gloomy there?
You know, it is, but I'm wearing shorts and I was able to comfortably do so outside, so I'm not going to complain about that.
It is 52 here. It's supposed to be like 70 today and tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, it's like pushing 60 here already.
So let's look.
The humidity helps. Dude, you know what I forgot to tell you about?
What?
And everybody else. I went on that couple weeks ago, the little ghost hunt to Robinson Manor. It was fun.
What'd you find?
It wasn't the most active evening. We had some stuff with the Maglite giving us a little bit of either kind of felt like sometime intelligent response, kind of felt maybe more like residual, like somebody was kind of just walking past it. Got to play with the Seer 3 out in the field from Lauren Hunt's.
That's exciting.
And we got to show it off. Everyone was really like excited to see it.
Oh, I bet everyone was so amped because that sound is so eerie and awesome.
Yes, that thing is freaking amazing. What I wanted to share with you though from it, well, I kind of told you already, but there's a gentleman there who's doing psychometry where he holds objects and like you could bring like, things that belong to a loved one or whatever, and he would tell you about it. Well, I'm like, realize I forgot that was part of the event, didn't bring anything until I remembered. You were giving me shit about it very recently. There's that piece of the asylum that was still in my car.
From the Traverse City State Asylum that we all collectively wanted to kill Zach for stealing.
Anyways, so I give it to this guy, and I mean, it literally looks like a piece of bark. Like you can't
tell what the hell it is. You really
immediately
really can't.
He's like, this is from a floor. And like, he's just kind of, at first I'm like, everything he's telling me about it is kind of, I felt like grasping for straws. So I just sat there pretty much emotionless, would just say, okay. And he's like, I feel like this is from a cabin. Everything else is renovated around it. And just so everyone knows, it came from like one of the unrenovated dorm buildings. See a lot of trees, a lot of water. All of a sudden he's like, is this from Traverse City? Like literally gets the city. I've told him nothing about this. We're in Allegan, Michigan. And he's like, I feel like there was like a lot of people who felt like family, like a lot of emotion in this. And he literally described like the building that it came from without he never put together that it was from the asylum, but had the city, the location, how it was renovated, what it looked like inside, all from this. And then he sets it down and he goes, I don't know. I'm probably a little bit wrong. I feel like tonight I haven't been getting things right. I'm like.
And what you had said is that everybody else was bringing like family heirlooms, like necklaces and things like that. So he's probably like, ooh,
I think he was trying to figure out how to connect it to me because he's like, I feel like it's connected, like not directly to you, but, like the people who were here felt like family. And it was, he's like, I feel like people lived here their entire lives, but not generations. Like, it was very, very spot on. I looked at him. I'm like, yeah, you are 100% right. Like that's from the asylum in Traverse. And I asked him after that, I said, this is something I felt like I probably shouldn't have done. Knowing what I know now, like I wouldn't have taken it, and I've always attributed this to bad luck with my car. What are your thoughts? He goes, well, it has a lot of energy. It's not, he goes, it can kind of shift. Some days it might be better than others. He goes, but
just like
I get a sense that it needs to like be displayed and not hidden away. So it is now displayed in the office and should be much happier.
Well, he was just kind of saying just so like that the memories can be
so it hidden. Can be presented and kind of not celebrated, but like
it makes
revered
sense, though,
maybe
because all of the bad things that were done there they were quote unquote hidden. They were tried to be covered up. So it makes sense that if you're locking it in your glove department, like you're also trying to hide and cover up. So if you're displaying it beautifully, the stories could be maybe kind of told. So that's
so
cool.
Now I have it in a nice little display box. It's been cleaned and cleansed. So yeah, that's my excitement. Nothing else too new.
All right. Well, it is still an early episode that we're recording because we've got stuff to do. It's a wonderful Saturday and we got things we got to do.
So you're saying we should open the damn shop up?
I'm thinking we should open the shop because I got to make so many more bracelets.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, okay. I have a question for you.
What is the question?
Have you ever been to Kitchity Kippy?
Yeah. Okay. Dang, you should have told me. I would have worn my sweater.
Oh, man.
Or is a shirt.
Okay.
I either have a shirt or a sweater.
Fair enough. But,
oh, side note, I was going to make bracelets that said fair enough. Would y'all want those?
Yes.
Okay.
I want one. Okay, so for anybody who hasn't been there, though, it's a giant natural spring in North Michigan. But the thing is the water is super clear and it's super weird. Deep. Like it literally, like the edge of it just drops off. What is it? A couple 100 feet, right? Yeah. Would you ever go swimming in something like that?
There, I think I would because I feel like because you can see it's so clear. But it's gross, though. I don't actually know if I would.
It's actually really clean.
But it's still kind of swampy around, though.
Well, because there's no shore. It's like all the trees.
I know.
It's so weird because like all the trees at the edge fall into it. And then there's those giant fish like hundreds of feet down. I literally get like a very intense anxiety when I think about swimming in something like that.
See, it would creep me out more if it was that and I couldn't see.
I don't even think I could, like, people kayak across it. I don't know if I could do that.
Oh, I could do that easily.
Oh, I don't know why. It gives me such a weird feeling.
Interesting.
Okay, so you can imagine that. Can you imagine it way fucking bigger?
I mean, I can, but everybody should pause right now and go look at a picture of this so we're all on the same page.
Yes.
I can, but then I also cannot.
Okay, perfect. While you have Google up, once you look at that, we're going to look at a very similar body of water that's a couple miles across.
Interesting.
Because today we're going to Oregon. We're obviously going to be talking about a lake, one that we mentioned relatively recently. And I said, oh man, I got to do a whole episode on this. This has native land, odd formations, ghosts, deaths, UFOs, monsters, every fucking thing that we talk about. We're going to Crater Lake, baby.
When did we...
It was like 3 or 4 episodes back. I can't remember why we mentioned it, but you said something about it. I'm like, it's a really odd place. We need to do an episode about it. So I immediately, for once, wrote it down, and now we're going to cover it.
Do they... Okay, let's go.
What's your question?
I don't know.
Okay, you think on it. You ponder on it. When you remember, you let me know. So I think Crater Lake, though, is... And I follow this woman on TikTok who always talks about spooky lakes and stuff. Crater Lake is by far the spookiest one I have
I've heard a lot of
creepiness,
but I can't pinpoint exact stories, so I'm excited.
And that's why there's a lot of stories that they go really wide but not really deep. So we're gonna touch on a lot of shit here. So we're going on a wild ride. But for those who don't know, Crater Lake is located in south central Oregon. It's the main feature of Crater Lake National Park. Who'd have thought that? And it's not really far from like Klamath Falls, which is another place that is super native, very spiritual, high energy. Okay. So do you know how Crater Lake was formed at all?
From a crater?
Technically, yes. It's a crater at the top of a volcano called Mount Mazama. So it's the caldera. So basically over 7,000 years ago, the volcano blew and Mount St. Helens has that big caldera on it. It's where the top blew off and now it's a crater. You know what's
also really weird is our last episode, depending on when we do this, we just talked about Mount St. Helens.
I know. I was thinking that.
Okay.
So the Crater Lake formed on top of where this volcano blew. Now there's a giant crater. But the weird thing is it's one of the only lakes in the U.S. that has no inlet or outlet. So there's nothing that feeds in. There's no rivers that come in. There's no rivers that go out.
So then is it actually considered a lake? Isn't a lake
Yes.
Okay.
It's still considered a lake because on the mountain, it collects the snowfall, the snow melt, and rain.
And that's what classifies you as a lake-ish?
I think it would, if it wasn't so massive, it wouldn't be considered a lake. Okay.
I'm going to search classifications of lakes while you continue.
Okay. You do that. But the thing is, because it comes from precipitation that's like naturally filtered, it's super, super clean. So it's like almost Caribbean deep blue. You can see for hundreds of feet down. And due to evaporation and precipitation, like the water just totally replaces itself every 150 years. So it just stays freaking clean.
That's crazy.
It's also the deepest lake. It's the deepest lake in the United States with a total depth of 1949 feet. And it's 11th in the world for deepest, which is insane when you have no like actual source feeding it other than precipitation.
That's weird. So the classification of a lake is a large, relatively deep body of standing water, typically surrounded by land where sunlight can't reach the bottom in all areas, and it doesn't have regular currents like rivers. Perfect.
Okay, so yeah.
Cool.
It's a real lake, Kara.
I wasn't saying it wasn't. I was just curious.
Okay, Kara. So we recently came across Haunters Against Hate, the pro-LGBT 501c3 nonprofit group, and we have to share their event. Are you looking for the most unique and totally accepting event of the year?
Then get ready for Haunters Against Hate, the Event 3 Season of the Witch.
It is a one-of-a-kind convention that blends all things scary and spooky while promoting inclusivity, acceptance, and community.
You'll get a reunion of artists from the TV show Face Off, plus makeup and cosplay competitions, a full hall of vendors, and incredible drag shows.
And don't miss the annual Haunters Against Hate Awards, workshops, seminars, haunt excursions, and my favorite part, live goats. I don't know why they're there, but I'm here for it.
Oh, and did we mention Edgar Allan Poe might be lurking around?
Oh, well, it all happens August 8th through 10th at the Crowne Plaza, Louisville Airport in Louisville, Kentucky.
Grab your tickets, book your hotel, and get all the details at HAHtheevent.com. That's HAHtheevent.com.
Because hate is the scariest thing of all. Link is down below in the show notes. Get your tickets today. Goodbye.
Bye.
So in Crater Lake, there's actually 2 islands that we're going to talk about. There's a couple other land masses. It's actually really funny. One of them does have a pond in the middle that has a boulder in the middle of it. So if you think about it, there's an island in the lake and the island in the lake.
Yeah.
On top of a mountain.
An island in a lake. An island in the lake. Wait. Yep.
So
okay.
the boulder in the pond on an island in the lake.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like we're about to start saying it. There's a hole in the bottom of the sea.
Yeah.
Okay. So the 2 islands that we're going to talk about, there's a Wizard Island and Phantom Ship Island.
Ooh, I want to go to Phantom Ship Island.
I knew you would. It's also about 5 by 6 miles across.
Oh, okay.
Now, I had also heard that there's fish in there. And for the longest time, I'm like, how the fuck do fish get into this place if it just... Okay, it was stocked. It was stocked by humans, so it's not that exciting.
Well, I was thinking that like a bird that caught a fish somewhere else could have like dropped it or something.
Smart. Yeah. No, it was humans, of course.
Oh, well,
so that's the one mystery we're going to solve today. It's also, come on, it's a Zach story. So it's on native land.
Well, what isn't?
They've done archaeological digs, right? And they're finding artifacts like sandals and other tools and stuff from natives underneath the layers of dust, which means they were there for over 7,000 years, which is wild to think about. Because if it's below the eruption in the dig, and it erupted 7,700 years ago. So it's been their land for a very long time.
Yeah.
And this belonged to the Klamath tribe. I'm going to give you from a little bit of reading from Wikipedia on them. So their oral history describes their ancestors witnessing the collapse of Mount Mazama and the formation of Crater Lake. They regard the lake as a abode to the Great Spirit. Klamath oral history tells of a battle between the sky god, Skel, and the god of the underworld, Lau. And Mount Mazama was destroyed in the battle, creating Crater Lake, called the Jiwas in the Klamath language. The Klamath people used Crater Lake in vision quests, which also often involved climbing the caldera walls and other dangerous tasks. Those who were successful in such quests were often regarded as having more spiritual powers, and the tribe still holds Crater Lake in high regard as a spiritual site. Okay.
Cool.
So basically, this is in their history where like the battle of good and evil took place and it destroyed the mountain and created the lake.
Which we love, a good and evil story.
Right?
Good and evil takeover.
So the creation of Crater Lake is also said to almost be a doorway or a crossroads between the darkness of the below world of hell there's a lot of superstition that came from the natives that if a person stares at the lake's surface too long, you almost get like mesmerized and you're unable to look away. And that if you stare long enough, the lake should be able to trap people and lure them to their deaths because it's a portal to the underworld.
So are we going to talk about Hades?
No, actually. Yeah. So there's no mention of Hades, but Lao, and I think I'm saying that right, Llao. I think so. Is like their version of Hades.
Okay. I need to cover Hades because I'd be loving my boy Hades.
Yes, you do. Okay, so obviously, we could talk about lake and history all day, but that ain't what this freaking podcast is about. So let's start. You want to start with the islands?
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to start with Wizard Island because I want to save yours for...
Okay, I was going to say darn, but then I'm actually happy.
Wizard Island, or Wizard Hat Island.
Wizard Hat Island.
Yes. I think I've seen it called both just Wizard Island and Wizard Hat Island, but it literally looks like a wizard's hat, which, is where it gets its name.
Oh, the island's like shaped like that? Cute. Okay.
Yes. In the caldera, another smaller eruption happened, which formed this new dome kind of in the middle of it. So it sticks out of the water. But it's not the weird shape that gives people the heebie-jeebies. It's the campers. And an island in the middle of the lake that no boats... Well, I mean, you can take your boat to, but when the campers are seen, no boats have gone there.
So, okay.
The rangers will regularly investigate the island because they get constant reports of people having fires and moving about the island. So you'll see smoke, you'll see fires, you'll see people walking around. And as you get to the island, there is nobody there.
Where are we seeing this from? Do you know?
Wizard Hat Island is basically able to be seen from all the shores. So almost all the shores on a cliff looking down into it because it's on the caldera. Yeah.
Okay. I understand.
So you can see it from all the sides. People can have seen it from their boats.
So interesting.
Yeah. So they'll go to investigate because you're not supposed to be like camping on the island and literally nobody will be there.
Are you allowed to visit the island or no?
I think so.
But you just can't camp.
Right.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people tend to like say or claim, right? There's no way we can prove this, but that it's the trapped souls of those who died in the eruption 7,000 years ago. Okay. So we're starting pretty tame.
I guess okay, whatever. I was thinking that because you're saying you can see this from the shore. So I'm just thinking in my head, if you're going to see like fire at night, like campers, then like, what are you doing late at night on the shore? But it could just be maybe rangers seeing it. But if they're getting complaints.
Well, there's also a camping lodge on the shore. You can camp. It's a national park.
Okay. This makes so much more sense.
So there's tons. It's a huge tourist location.
Okay. I got it. I get it.
Cool. So your island, then the Phantom Ship Island. This one, you should Google this. It looks really cool. But it's sort of ship-shaped, obviously. It's these like super tall jutting rocks coming out of the water. This island is like 500 by 200 feet. But it's named this because one, it sort of looks like a ship. But in the right weather conditions, so foggy, low light, it starts to like look like it appears mysteriously out of the water and then disappears. And a lot of people have mistaken it over time for a ghost ship. Like they used to report like the ship just came out of nowhere and would disappear.
I do understand where you're coming from, but it almost looks more like a castle to me.
Yeah, it's just a really unique landmark. Now that one, it doesn't have too much paranormal other than the fact that, it tricks people into thinking it's boat or not. But it's just kind of showing there's a lot of really weird formation around here.
Yeah, it does look very, very strange.
Okay. I promise we're going to get more strange as we go on, though. So aside from the natural, like giant landmarks like that, there's another landmark at Crater Lake that moves all around Crater Lake. It's probably like the most famous landmark that it has. Yeah. It's called the Old Man of the Lake. Have you ever heard of this?
I don't think so.
Okay. So the Old Man of the Lake is a petrified mountain hemlock tree. It's at least 35 feet tall. And for some reason, it floats vertically in the water. So like the top 4 feet of the trunk stick out of the water, floating with the base down. Instead, most logs would float on their side. It has been floating in this lake since at least 1896.
And it's for sure the same.
It's for sure the same. Yep. So it travels about 4 miles a day all around this lake.
This is so cute.
It was first written about by Joseph Dillard in 1902. He's the one who saw it into 1896, and it has been carbon dated and shows it being at least 450 years old. We just don't know when it fell into the water. It's preserved by the water because the water is really cold.
Okay.
It's turned completely white. A lot of people say it looks like a giant bone stub sticking out of the water, which for me, thalassophobia, like...
What are we calling it? The old man?
The old man. Yeah, it would totally freak me out. I don't know why I've seen that stuff, like, ugh. But
it's like the, what's it called? The effect where it's...
Thalassophobia? I think I just said it wrong. Whatever. So, submechanophobia. Anything, big weird things in the water. I don't know. Gives me the heebie-jeebies. So here's the thing, though.
Oh, yeah. It's
been floating there for hundreds of years, and there's some superstition tied to it. So the rangers used to like jump off boats, and like one of their rites of passage was getting their picture taken climbing up on there.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's a ton of pictures of people sitting on it. So people, I don't know if you're a visual person, you need to not think of it as like a little tree. It's a huge stump tree looking thing.
Oh yeah, no, it's big enough for a human being to sit on top of. So according to this ranger, Dave Grimes, when asked why the rangers no longer jump off their boats to get their picture taken there, he said, "We don't like to mess with the old man." Because you see, in 1988, a party of submarine explorers feared that while they were doing some research that they might accidentally hit the old man and damage their submarine.
Okay.
They harnessed it, hauled him off towards shore, and tied him off, of course, on the coast of Wizard Island, because why not give the old man his hat? That just seems like a terrible fucking idea. As soon as the tree was tethered, the weather turns ugly, the wind blew, whitecaps form, and storms blew in immediately. It then starts to snow in August.
Jesus Christ.
The researchers, fearing that they did something, right? Yeah. They decided to cut the old man free, and almost immediately the weather clears up.
So do we know how long this goes into the water?
35 feet.
35 feet. Okay.
Yep. It's a massive tree.
Yeah, that's just weird to me.
So, and they don't know why it floats vertically. Some people think it's like the density increased as it soaked the water.
Because if you're sitting on it, wouldn't you think that then it would like teeter and like...
Another theory is that there's weights tied to the bottom of it, but how would those weights stay there for hundreds of years? The other thing too is why, it makes sense to me, like, okay, a petrified tree, something's holding it up, right? It can't be the only hemlock. Why aren't there other old men floating around the lake? Like, other trees of the exact same species had to have fallen in here. Why? It doesn't make sense to me why there's only one.
Is there other living ones around, or no? Not anymore.
Yeah, no, it's like it's a pretty common tree in that area.
Okay. Huh.
And most of them, as they petrify, end up sinking.
Right. This is weird.
It's now like that's one of the most famous landmarks to look for. There's people who track where it is every day, and it's like kind of cute.
That's cute.
Nobody knows why this one particular one has been floating there, but they do not tie it off anymore. Yeah,
no, don't. I wouldn't even sit on it.
So we've got weird landmarks so far. I'll give you the choice. Do you want murder and mystery next? Cryptids and monsters? Or UFOs?
I feel like... Give me cryptids.
So let's go then to the cryptids and the monsters. Obviously no surprise here because we're in Oregon.
That's why I was like, I want cryptids.
Oh, yeah. It is pretty much the #1 state for cryptid sightings, and our boy Bigfoot. Okay.
Whoop, whoop.
There are multiple reports of Bigfoot every year, pretty much monthly, regularly. He is seen all over, like, the trails on the edges of Crater Lake. He's never been seen, like, on the islands or anything.
Okay.
But there's a really famous story of the rangers once receiving some reports of a weird creature, and they start to follow this large, dark, putrid-smelling creature through the woods until at one point it kind of lost them, circled back behind them, and started screaming and throwing pine cones at them, so they decided to give up on the chase.
I mean, that's what I would do if somebody was following me.
Right? Scream and throw pine cones? Yeah. Why not?
It's a great plan.
Crater Lake isn't even just the spot of Bigfoot sightings, but 2 Bigfoot deaths.
Wait, like natural deaths?
No, unfortunately, because humans ruin everything. One by car And the body was whisked away by government agents and the other by train.
Wait, were these both accidental then?
Yes.
Okay, so...
Yes.
All right.
Well, you're going to get upset about the train one in a second. It was accidental, but it wasn't reported until a couple years later because the people driving the train were drinking on the job.
I guess if you're going to drink on any driving thing, any type of automobile, I guess a train would probably be the safest, right?
Yeah, because, I mean, unless you derail it. But I get your logic.
But then you hit a Bigfoot, so you're... But
true.
I guess I don't know if you would have been able to not hit it if you weren't drinking.
Yeah, drunk or not, you're probably going to hit it with the train. You can't really stop them. In June 1976, the park's chief naturalist, George Morrison, claims that he saw a Bigfoot or Sasquatch cross the road at dusk and head into the Annie Creek Canyon. Morrison said the upright creature took only 4 steps to cross the 4-lane road.
Wow. Well, that makes sense.
He is like their chief naturalist. He's an experienced nature observer and said he couldn't find any footprints, but this thing is not anything he had ever seen before. And he was like pretty shaken by this.
It's always the experienced people.
Right. At least we have a reputable one. 5 years later, we have another visitor, Roger Wade. He sees an upright Sasquatch 50 yards in front of his car. Yeah.
Reputable?
It's reputable.
It's a reputable. Like your reputation.
Potato.
Reputable.
I'm going to look this up later and see who's right. I'm probably wrong. Okay, so anyways, the Roger Wade, he sees an upright Sasquatch 50 yards in front of his car, 3 miles west of Annie Spring.
Has anyone seen a non-upright Sasquatch?
Oh my God.
Sorry,
yes,
but...
people see it running all the time on all fours.
I've never heard of that.
Look at any grainy video when they go running, that they go gorilla style. Okay. Anyways, his written statement described the creature as 6 feet tall, your favorite, pulling height out of their ass, with light brown, cinnamon colored hair. And Wade did claim to see that, Wade claimed that he found large footprints.
Okay. So one didn't, one did.
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
All right. So that's the Bigfoot sightings.
If you were to see a Bigfoot, what color would you prefer it to be?
Cinnamon brown.
I know. That's kind of what I visualize always it.
But yeah, some people say like black hair. That just doesn't. No,
it doesn't fit for me in my head.
That's somebody in a ghillie suit. Okay. Of course, though, like we're not going to get through a creepy lake story without a water monster as well.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were going with first.
Now, surprisingly, there's a lot less of this than there is Bigfoot. But what people start to see is weird disturbances at the top. So like a lot of the cliffs looking over the lake are really high up and look down on it. So they see a lot of weird disturbances at the top of the water that make them think there's something large.
Okay.
Now, the natives, they do think that Lau, if I'm saying that correctly, resides in the lake, which he's kind of the representative of the evil, right?
Okay, yeah.
There's not many sightings except for in 2002, a group of friends were touring in a rowboat, which is the last thing I want to see a fucking sea monster in. And Mrs. Maddie Hatcher looks over the side and she sees something swimming down underneath the boat that shouldn't be there. She says to reporters in the Fort Myers Star News, she said, "This thing must have been a city block long. To me, it looked exactly like a dragon." I have no idea that would terrify me. Now, there's the weird disturbances on the top of the sea. I think this is probably, if I'm going to give it some thought about what it could be, I'm thinking it's probably just something more elemental in nature that maybe shows up, like kind of like Sam was saying, shows up differently to different people.
Yeah. I like her thought process and giving a description of how big it is, because to me, that makes more sense. It's like a city block instead of saying it was.
Right, like an exact. Yeah. Like a good comparison.
I appreciate her for that. But I do think that, you said there wasn't a lot of sightings in the water, at least. That makes sense to me, though, because of how deep it is and how, like, we don't know half the species that are real, quote unquote, real now. So that always makes sense to me when there's like...
I don't think this could be anything real, because remember, the only living things that are in this lake have been stocked by humans.
I don't care.
So I think it's more elemental.
I mean, it could be, but it still could be a lake monster, because we don't know how lake monsters survive. They might not need anything.
to disprove this one a little bit, possibly. This is a possible explanation.
To disprove her sighting?
Yes.
Okay.
At least hers. Not the disturbances on the water, but there was in 1977 a really terrible B movie that was like a play on the Loch Ness Monster called The Crater Lake Monster. So there could have been some ideas planted, but...
Got you.
So surprisingly, though, we really only have 2 monsters out here.
That is surprising, but then also not, because like you just said, it's probably more elemental. It's probably more spiritual, like the Native Americans, things like that. So I guess yes, it sounds surprising with the description of this location, but at the same time, I get why.
Perfect. All right. Ghost, murder and mystery, UFO. What next?
Oh, God.
We got a lot to get through.
Let's do murder.
Perfect. Okay. So far, we've got some monster sightings. We've got some weird geography. What are your thoughts before we get into the murder and mystery? Like, do you think this place is kind of weird? Do you think this is normal? Like, where are you at?
Oh, of course it's weird.
Like, do you believe in all the paranormal stuff so far?
Of course. Why are you even asking?
I don't know why I'm even asking you that. You believe anything I tell you. Okay. So we're going to get into... There's a shit ton of people who die, people who go missing, people who unfortunately take their own lives.
Of course.
We could literally do 3 episodes on all those. So we're just going to touch on a few of the weird ones. Okay.
Let's go, baby.
So the first is Mr. Charles McCuller. He was an outdoorsman and photographer from Virginia who at the age of 19 heads out to Crater Lake for a few days. He's going to take some photos. It's 1975. Okay. So he was supposed to be gone just for 2 days.
And he went by himself.
By himself, yep. He was supposed to go back to a friend's house, but he never returns.
Okay.
So his disappearance is investigated. Plenty of people witnessed him around the lake, but nobody could pinpoint like the last time he was seen, right?
Okay.
Over a year goes by. There's search by ground, by air, involvement with the FBI, and he's finally found. Well, portions of him.
Well, right. Okay.
October 13th, 1976, 2 hikers from Texas make a wrong turn while traveling through the park. They end up in this like remote part of a bog area called Sphagnum Bog. Upon arrival, they find an old dirty backpack.
This was in 76, right? When did he take his
75 is a year.
Okay, cool.
A day later, the Rangers show up in the area, ultimately coming across the remains of Charles McCuller. They can tell because the bag of his car keys are in there. The cameras are gone. But he's about 12 miles from the trailhead. I could tell you about it, but I found a Reddit story that really sums it up well, and I know you love Reddit.
Why is this giving me like Blair Witch vibes or something?
I was thinking more like Into the Wild vibes a little bit.
Okay, read the Reddit.
Redditor Nonnaan, Nonnaan, has this to say. So, Charles' remains were bizarre. His jeans were reportedly unbuttoned, and the belt had come undone. In his pants, investigators found broken off shin bones sticking up.
Oh.
Investigators also found foot bones in his socks.
Okay.
But the rest of his skeletal remains seemed to have vanished, except for the crown of his skull, which was found 12 feet away. So, foot bones in a sock, shin bones in the pants, and crown of his head.
And that's it.
That's it. Nothing else.
That's very strange.
The bag is there. The camera equipment is gone.
But his pants weren't unbuttoned.
Pants were unbuttoned.
No.
But his shirt and boots and coat are gone. The pants were found sitting on a log, but all the money was gone out of the wallet. It's really like, it seems true crimey, right?
Now, there wasn't any blood or anything they could
no blood, find? No other remains have ever been found. Like what, I don't know.
Okay, that's
so
very
in 2016, Stephen McCuller wrote an article about his missing brother, and this is really sad.
Oh.
In it, he throws an interesting conclusion. He said, if only those broken off shin bones could have talked to us, what do you think they'd say? I bet they'd say something like this. I hitched a ride with the creepy guy who stole my camera equipment, money, and shot me in the head. Then on a clear day in the dead of winter, he hauled my body into the most remote parts of Crater Lake, took my shirt and boots off, set me on a log, and left, figuring that animals would destroy the evidence by spring. And hey, I guess it worked, because the cops ruled my death to be from natural causes. My dad and family don't buy it, though. That's what his brother wrote that from his perspective.
Why does he think that he got shot in the head?
Because of the fact that he was robbed obviously somebody like staged the way his body was out there.
I would think that he got stabbed.
And like how the part of it. Yeah, it's, I mean, you just don't know. There's not enough
I don't know,
but it's so weird that like, to me, animals wouldn't leave such little of the bones to like the point where you couldn't find them. That's weird.
No, that whole thing is really weird. I was just thinking, I would think that he got stabbed or something, because then there wouldn't be like potential bullets, evidence or anything. But that's really weird.
Yeah.
That's unsettling.
So that's the one I've got for you on murder. The other ones are going to be a little bit more on the weird side of things. Okay. So we have two strange disappearances during World War II. So the first are two tornado bombers flying across the lake in 1944.
Okay.
According to one pilot, the only surviving pilot, as they neared the lake, he took the lead. Both men had been flying with absolutely no issues. So they were kind of side by side. The one pulls in front, clear day, kind of gets some speed going, goes to look back to check on the other pilot. He's gone. He had only been out of visual range for a short time, less than 5 minutes.
Went through a time slip.
Nothing came across the radio. No one saw any plane fall out of the sky because it was still a tourist area.
Right.
It just completely vanished.
Mm-hmm. Portal, time slip.
Following year, or it went into the doorway to the underworld. The following year, a group of 7 Hellcat fighter planes were headed north from California to Washington. While over the park, they encountered heavy fog. When the squadron made it to clearer skies, they found that one aircraft, flown by 22-year-old Frank Lupo, had gone missing. So that was the last that anyone had seen Lupo for nearly 25 years until 1970.
What?
When a newly hired park ranger, Dave, badass last name, Painbreaker, was hiking the park and he came across a human skull. I love this guy.
Where's the plane?
I wait for it. I love this guy though. He takes the skull, he puts it in his backpack, heads to the office, goes up to his brand new manager and slams the skull on his desk.
Love it.
So the investigators go out to the area he found it. They're able to recover a piece of the plane.
I guess I don't love that he touched it though.
Right. They used dental records to actually ID it.
Okay.
But with the parts of the plane and what they had, they were unable to identify what happened to the plane to cause it to also just fall right out of the plane or the sky.
But it took 25 years to find that?
Yeah.
That seems so weird.
And there are tons of planes that just go disappearing over here.
But that seems so weird that...
nobody finds this for 25 years. And then he's hiking and like the skull is visible.
Visible? That's what I mean. That's fucking weird.
Okay. We have another. This one is, or the last one's sad. I'm sorry. It's also one of the most confusing of the missing persons cases out here.
Okay.
And it's of Sam Boehlke, also known as Sammy. So in 2006, Sammy and his dad, Kenneth, are visiting the park. The two stop to play on a hill. And, like when it's time to go, Ken's like, all right, Sammy, like we got to go. Sammy refuses to come down the hill. He throws a little temper tantrum and goes down the other side of the hill.
I'm sorry, how old is he?
He is 6 years old.
Okay.
6 or 8.
Little.
Young kid. He disappears out of the dad's sight as he goes down the other side of the hill, and Kenneth never sees Sammy again. He runs over, can't see the kid. Immediately a search was called. They searched the ground with dogs. They had helicopters. He couldn't
have got that far. He's little.
No. Dogs briefly picked up his scent.
Okay.
But it led nowhere. It's like all of a sudden he just disappeared. The other really horrible thing is that Sammy was autistic.
Oh.
So he kind of, I could see if nothing strange did happen here, like you would probably hide from large groups of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But that's why it's not too uncharacteristic that he ran off and had a temper tantrum.
Right.
So the time of the year that it was, though, was kind of near winter. So they didn't think it was kidnapping at all because they basically talked to everybody who was around there. There weren't many people in the park at this time. Eventually, the search is called off because it is now fully winter, a couple months in, and they said if he was still out there with the freezing temperatures, there's no way.
Here's the thing. He did make it. A nice Bigfoot family took him in.
I hope so. Still to this day, totally unsolved, and it is an active missing persons case.
That's sad. Poor baby.
But yeah, so like I said, though, there's a lot of accidental deaths of people falling in the lake here. There's lots of murders that are made to look accidental. A lot of people who do take their own life. There's not, we don't know the reasons why people pass away so much here.
Yeah.
Something, a lot of it's the remoteness or the beauty of it. But if we go back to that native legend about it being the portal to the doorway and luring people in.
Makes sense.
Lao spirit, Ooh.
All right. Give me the alien.
All right. You want aliens? I'll give you the aliens.
Zach's wearing the perfect shirt for today. He has a shirt that I bought him.
I wore this one for you because it's got aliens. It's got
Bigfoot.
Yes. Okay. We're going to go to February 4th.
Okay.
I can't ever say February. Okay. February 4th.
I like how you say
1997. I know you do.
Okay.
A private pilot is flying near Diamond Lake Junction, east of Crater Lake, and he reports seeing 3 disc-shaped objects speeding across the evening sky. Then he also sees that they're pursued by several jet interceptors.
Oh.
And that same evening, tons of people around the lake report hearing a sonic boom that was loud enough to set off car alarms and stuff, which could be the jets.
Yeah,
but it sounds like on this February 4th, they were chasing these 3 discs around. Now, that was seen during day, so people could identify that it was 3 disc-shaped UFOs.
So multiple people did see this?
Yep.
Okay.
And it's been seen many, many times since, but it's usually at night. So a lot of people, instead of saying the disc, they say there's these crazy lights that are just always flying around Crater Lake.
Interesting.
This has led a lot of people to then further speculate, and as they're doing a lot off of like New Jersey and stuff now with everything going on, that there might be an underwater UFO base here, because not only are all these discs and lights seen so often since like the early 90s, they're also seen going in and out of the water, which is something we're hearing more and more about UFOs, or maybe, multidimensional beings or something else going on other than aliens from other planets. But like, I kind of think that this is a perfect place. Ruling out that we don't know what the UFOs are by any means, this would be a great place for them to hide. Super deep place on top of a mountain. Like, come on. So the UFOs, though, have been around way more than just the 90s when they started, being reported, because that's just popularity of UFO reports. Yeah. Going back to the Klamath tribe, so the people who lived there for thousands of years, they spoke about and often about the sky people who come down from the heavens.
Sky people.
So their legends describe bright objects descending from the sky and interacting with the lake. Elders spoke of strange beings emerging from the lake itself, hinting at the ancient kind of connection between Crater Lake and otherworldly visitors. And there are researchers who think that this is actually some of the oldest accounts of UFO activity and alien contact with humans in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
We obviously, you and me, our theories of the monsters and the UFOs go hand in hand, and whether it's from another planet or a little bit multidimensional, I'm not surprised that we have a ton of UFO and strange light anomalies going on with all the Bigfoot sightings by any means.
One day, I'm going to remember what episode it was, and I'm going to go find it, and I'm going to figure out how to clip the audio where you made fun of me so bad when I said I thought Bigfoots were interdimensional and you could use like trees as portals and stuff, and you clowned me so hard. And now I've heard it from other professionals. And now you're like, you know what? Actually,
listen, we learn and we grow.
I know.
Okay.
Every time you bring it up, I have to just re-bring up how you clowned me so hard.
You're making me believe more things.
You actually
are you ready for the damn ghost?
Laughed at me so hard, and like I was like, whatever, I'm sticking with it.
Never laugh at you. I'd laugh with you.
Somebody figure out what episode that was for me. Thanks. Okay, yeah, I want to hear the hauntings.
Okay. So monsters, UFOs, landmarks, not enough. We gotta have ghosts. And we already talked about the Wizard Island ones, but that is not even the half of it. Okay. So you don't even have to go near the water or the islands. You can just stay at Crater Lake Lodge.
Let's do it.
Built in 1915, meant to be a retreat for the visitors. Nobody knows why, but a lot of the visitors just don't tend to leave and hang out throughout the years.
Oh.
According to investigating the PNW.com, Pacific Northwest, Guests have reported night terrors that prevent them from sleeping as it feels that people are staring at them.
Okay.
Often encountering the spirit of a young girl walking in the hallways. And for some reason, one of the most haunted areas is an elevator that is haunted by the spirit of a Chinese man. So you'll get in the elevator with him, and he won't be there when you get out. Or sometimes you'll get in an empty elevator, and all of a sudden, there is a man there with you hanging out in this elevator.
Like, I wonder why he likes the elevator so much.
I don't know. But do you remember a long time ago, you and me had a debate about where you'd want to be in a haunting situation, and you argued for inside, I argued for outside.
Oh,
because you could hide inside. And I'm like, well, the ghost could come through walls. I'd rather be able to run. I think this was during the Goat Man episode.
Yeah, I do remember this, but
because we were debating if you want to sleep on the bridge or inside.
Correct.
Yes.
But then I think at the end, I don't know if I knew what I really would want. But okay.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
because here, as soon as you step outside, you have other friends as well. So. The ghostly figure of a woman in white, of course, a lady in white. She walks alone on the trails at night, and witnesses say she has a sorrowful expression, and sometimes she just vanishes into thin air when approached. Many people think that she is a woman who accidentally perished near the lake and is cursed to walk the trails for eternity.
That whole entire time, what was in my head is, I walk alone. Like,
right?
Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Oh my gosh, I love them. What
a great song for that exact scenario.
Perfect. Although sometimes she's not alone because there's another gentleman on the trails.
Oh, a gentleman caller.
Yes. Nobody really knows who this is. A lot of people seem to say that he looks like a gold miner. And during the gold rush, lots and lots and lots and lots of gold miners fell to their deaths into the lake. So
that makes sense to be there. Okay, so maybe they became friends after life.
Yeah, well, I mean, they both just kind of hang around on the trails. So I'm sure they've ran into each other at some point.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
Now, we did talk about the ghosts on Wizard Hat Island. They see like shadowy figures.
I don't even remember what we've talked about so far.
I know. There's also tons and tons of reports on the regular trails not on the island of these shadowy figures lurking in the dense woods, always seem to be kind of watching people. They're described as large and humanoid, but they can move unnaturally fast. Oh. They can vanish when being spotted. Whether these are spirit, elemental, or something else, nobody really knows. But to me, it reminded me a lot of, and it's not terribly far removed from the episode you did on the Watchers.
Oh, yeah.
So it seems to have that same vibe.
Yeah, that vibe.
Oh, okay. I've been going on for almost an hour. I think we've hit everything we could possibly.
I don't know. Have we?
That's the thing with this one. I told you we're going to go wide, not very deep.
Deep. Yeah, that makes sense.
If any, like for you or anybody listening, like there's a lot more stories out there on this. So if any parts of this stuck into you, definitely urge you to do some of your own research. To go back to the thing at the beginning, though, there is a spot you can swim in this lake. You have to jump off a cliff to do it, and then like pull yourself.
So you would never.
Pretty large. Yeah, I am never. No, not with all the other shit that's going on here, and the lake being able to lure you to your death. Would you go swimming in it?
Probably not. I don't know. I would have to make the decision once I was looking at it.
Fair. Well, to wrap us up, I did something I know you'd love. And I found you at least one Reddit story about it. So
thank you. I'm like, did you go visit? When?
Yeah, I did a really quick trip. Remember that whole thing about me wanting to be a pilot? Well, I just flew out there. So Killer Ben Man, though, talks about Crater Lake, and he is not going to be rushing back anytime soon.
Oh, okay. This is a good one.
I went camping at Crater Lake in Oregon, and where we camped, it was heavily wooded, and there were about 2 or 3 people beside us. We get there around midday, set up and relax. By now it begins to get dark, so we decided to cook some food and call it a day after we eat. Now me, my cousin, my brother shared a tent to sleep in, so I'd say around 2 to 3 a.m. rolls in, and I have to pee like a MFer. Anyways, I do my stuff, head back to the tent, and find the zipper wide open and my little brother gone.
Oh.
So I start freaking out. I wake my cousin up to tell him what happened. And essentially, we search until sunrise, and then we call the Rangers.
Oh, shit.
They search for about 4 to 5 hours, and they find him 10 miles from our campsite. He has no clue how he got there, and all he has on is his underwear and nothing else.
Oh, God.
Now, after this whole ordeal, our cousin tells us about David Paulides and his whole research on how people go missing in national parks without any explanations. Needless to say, it was one of the most jarring and disturbing things that ever happened in my life. In reality, it honestly ruined camping for all of us, and I used to love camping. I will say Crater Lake is the place to go for some creepy paranormal shit.
Oh, how long ago did he post that? Do you remember?
I think this one was about 2 or 3 years ago. There's tons of other, there's some Reddit stories about,
I want more details.
I know. That one, I kind of picked that one because it wasn't even related to anything else we talked about. It was just like,
just a weird, yeah.
Like literally moving 10 miles and having no memory. There was another one, basically, I almost picked of this boyfriend, girlfriend leaving the hot springs at night and hear something chasing them the whole time. It sounded very much like a camouflage Bigfoot. Like we've heard those stories. And when they got back to the parking lot, there was a single car, old man in a truck, and it's like 11 at night, and he gets out and asks them which way to the hot springs, which like, why would anybody be going to the nudist hot springs in the middle of the night? They were just like, this place is too fucking weird. We're never coming back.
There's always a lot of really, really creepy stories, which maybe we should just do a whole episode about hot springs, like natural hot springs.
Yeah.
Because there is so many creepy, weird interactions and encounters around them. Oh, I have the heebie-jeebies. I think it was two girls, one ghosted. I can't remember where, but it was like a hot spring thing. But basically it was like they think that they ran into a like a seductress type entity.
Interesting.
Because it was just like this weird, very witchy, vibey woman just like in a hot spring just singing. It
would make sense. It's natural water. There's usually a lot of minerals in it because of where it comes from. Like they're high energy spots.
Ooh, we should do hot springs.
That is all of the fucking weirdness that goes on in Crater Lake packed into 1 hour.
Yeah, that's a lot. And like you said, it's a lot of vague stories, I guess, are vague, but like a lot of it, which is just how these places always are. There's like just a lot in one little space. I
like that, like, while there's not a lot of details in the stories, it's the Rangers, the chief naturalists, World War II bombers. Like, these are all
credible,
very credible people. And it's so much has happened here that I think it's hard to deny that something fucking weird is happening for sure in this super high energy area.
So my friend Darren lives in Oregon. However we are supposed to be saying it. We should hit him up and be like, hey, we're going to come chill with you. And how far are you from? Can we convince him to spend a night there and just report back to us? He probably already has. Perfect. Well, then write in about it or call in about it. Oh, like he listens. Or if anybody else has ever stayed at or been to Crater Park, tell us your story. I'll hit him up and be like, hey, have you ever stayed at Crater Lake? And he's probably been like, I went fishing there. He's that type of person. He's probably been there. All right. So emoji for this one. Is there a wizard hat? Yeah. Let's do a wizard hat or a ship for the 2 islands. Okay. Love it. Pick the emoji of the island you would rather interact with. The ghostly camper island or the ship that disappears. So wizard hat for wizard hat island, ship for ghost ship island. Okay. Pick your favorite. I like it. All right. Well, yeah, good job. That was a lot. I know. I try to I think I did good though. No, we're just under an hour. Yeah, no, we did perfection. All my coffee is starting to really hit me, so I gotta go. Yeah, I'm in that same boat. Yeah. Are we on the ship? All right. Thank you guys so much. We love and appreciate you. Leave us some voicemails. We haven't got one in a while, and we still need one more listener write-in or voicemail. We'll get you bonus episodes if you do. Yep. Don't forget, we also have a bunch of bonus content and things like that on our Patreon. So feel free to head on over there. You don't have to pay. There are some free things that we do have on there. So yeah, come hang out with us no matter who you are. Subscribe to it because you love us. That's really all I have. Have a good, when are we listening to this? Thursday? Have a great weekend, a day, a night, a morning. Wrap it up, Kara. Let them go. I'm wishing them all good things. Goodness gracious. All the good things. Love you. I have to pee. I've had so much coffee. I gotta poop. The most important thing that you can do for us is to creep a reel, you little eyeballs. And not pee your pants. Goodbye. Bye.